am Julia Levy from Sparkler. We're so excited to be here with you today. Quick introductions. I lead Sparkler. Bethanne, do you want to say hello, and Karina?
Hi, I'm Bethanne, and I am the Connecticut project coordinator. Along with, I work on a lot of family engagement and also help with dissemination of all our Sparkler materials.
Hello, everybody. I'm Karina Duplessis. I'm the director at 211 Child Development, and we are a statewide program really providing supports for families of children with concerns about their child's development or disability. We're the access point for Connecticut's Birth to Three system, as well as Help Me Grow, early childhood special education, and the children and youth with special health care needs. And very happy to be here today.
Thank you. And before we get started, I just want to say I know some people are on Facebook Live, some people are here with us, but if you have any questions, we want to answer your questions. We want to make sure that we're meeting your needs on this session. So put them in the chat, raise your hand, and share your question out loud. And we really want to hear from you throughout. Okay. Bethanne, do you want to get us started?
Yes. So we're so excited to be here today to share with you a great app that we have in Connecticut called Sparkler. This app empowers parents and caregivers as first teachers, and it's a great system that helps serve families through doing developmental screening, importance about play with your children, and lots of activities that we can share with you today. And so today all about is we're going to show you about the app, and we're going to show you how you can access it, and also all of the activities that are in the app as well. And then Karina is going to kind of talk to you about how the app is aligned and connects with 211 Child Development. So as we come here every month and we talk about the importance of early childhood, we know that infant to 5-year-olds, that brain grows over a period of time, and that architecture continues on through children's adulthood. And we want to be able to have families know that the importance that learning does on an infant to a 5-year-old's brain, and that parents and caregivers can shape the children's early experiences, whether it's a parent at home or if the child is in an early childhood program, that those can have positive long-term impacts on the child's development. We know the impact it has on social emotional development for sure. So this is all a part of the Center for Developing Child at Harvard University. If you're ever poking around, you want to learn more about the developing child, this is a great website to go to. I just want to share that. I love the child there. So we're so blessed in Connecticut to have an amazing network of support for all of our families and young children. We have Sparkler, which is why we're here today, 211, which Karina is a part of, as well as our Connecticut Birth to Three system, our Connecticut State Department of Education that focuses on pre-K, early childhood special ed, so that's 3 to 5-year-olds, as well as our Help Me Grow Connecticut. So this whole group here all works together as a network to support and provide services to our families across Connecticut.
Mm-hmm. And obviously CPAC, which isn't on this list, but is the reason we're all here today for real.
An amazing resource for families.
An amazing
CPAC.
Resource. And I'm going to take over in a second, but just we're going to talk about this, but just to before we get into the substance of what Sparkler is and how you can use it, I think something that I hope sticks in your head is that Sparkler is sort of a doorway, and it connects families across the state with many supports. So through Sparkler, you can get access to these other various organizations that are there to support your family, or you could just use it independently to find activities to play with your child. But it's a good way to access a lot of the amazing resources that are available across the state. So what is Sparkler? Sparkler is a tool for families with children 0 to 5 years old, and it's free. It's a mobile app. It's in English and in Spanish. It's available on Android and iOS, smartphones, and tablets. By the way, for the interpreter, am I talking too fast?
I was.
I probably am. I am talking too fast. I'm going to slow down. Sorry, Juanita. Okay. So through Sparkler, parents get 3 core things. First, we have the developmental screening. We have the ages and stages questionnaires, both ASQ3 and ASQ SE2, which focuses on social and emotional learning. And those are questionnaires that parents can complete to just check in on their children's development. Number 2, we have a whole library of fun educational activities that parents and children can play together off screen to promote learning, as well as a library of tips for parents, parent-focused content that can support their parenting. And third, we foster connection with professionals, and it could be that through the app, people are connecting with their local agencies or schools that they're working with, or they could be connecting with Karina and her team at 211 Child Development. In the case of CPAC, as we're going to describe, we have a special code where families can sign up with the code CPAC and connect with the team at CPAC who can support you and your family. I'm going to attempt to play this video that shows you the sign-up process. I want to note before I press play that it will show the family at the very first step putting in the code CT, which is the general code for families in the state. Instead of entering CT, families who are part of CPAC can enter CPAC, CPAC, and that will link them up with CPAC. They enter CT or CPAC. And then on the next screen, the parent is asked to enter their email address and create a password. On this screen, the parent puts in information. Much of it is optional. The most important thing is a phone number so that somebody can reach out to you and support you if you do end up needing some help. On the next screen, the parent can enter a profile for their child. They can use nicknames. The most important thing here is to make sure the birthday is correct, because Sparkler uses that birthday to assign the correct content to the family. So we want to make sure they're seeing the right content for their child's age. Then there's some optional questions that people can answer to help us understand the child's and the family's needs a little bit better. And that's it. So then once you do that, you'll get right into the app and you can start to use it. You can also, if you want, add another child if you have 2 kids or more. Okay, so now we're in the app and we're gonna spend a few minutes guiding you through what you'll find as a family when you get in. Before we start going through these slides though, it's important to say that there's a lot in there, and we'll go through all of it. None of it is required in any way. All of it is creating greater access for families to all of this content. And so if you have a child who's already been diagnosed with something, you know that they have a delay, you probably don't want to take the ages and stages questionnaire because it won't tell you something that you don't already know. And that's totally fine. You can use it for the play activities, you can search around for tips for parents, you can use it to connect with the team at CPAC to get support. And if you want the ASQ, it's open and it's freely available to you to use it and learn something new if there's something new for you to learn. But you don't have to use any individual part of this. So the first screen here is highlighting the ages and stages questionnaire, which many of you I'm sure are familiar with. And it's a tool that's been widely used in the state for a couple decades, and it helps educators, doctors, families understand children's strengths, set goals, and access support. These are a few screenshots from the ages and stages questionnaires. It's the same questions that many of you are familiar with, but it is a different format. It's just available on your smartphone anywhere versus on a piece of paper or on a website. And so each section lets you know what to expect. You can swipe through the questions, you can skip questions and come back to them later. You can exit the whole thing and come back later if you have to take care of your child. You can even fill it out offline if you want. You can skip around from section to section. When you're done, you'll see a screen like the 1 second to the right where it asks you if you're ready to submit your answers. And when you do, you'll press yes. And then you get congratulated. And at that point, as Karina's going to outline in a little bit, the report is generated automatically, and somebody who is in the lead with you, responsible for getting in touch with you, in your case it's CPAC, will get that report and then reach out to you to talk through the answers and to support you if you need if you have questions or need support. The next thing I wanted to highlight is play, which is really at the core of Sparkler. The idea is that when parents and children play together, it sparks early learning. And so we have 10 different age bands from birth through age 5. Parents will see different content depending on the age of their children. And when they see something that sparks their interest or is related to a skill that they want to develop, the parent can click in and play. And each activity has 3 simple steps. It also has extra tips and that will help you as a parent find out some vocabulary words you can work on, other ways you can develop this skill, a way to simplify the activity if your child needs it to be modified, a way to strengthen it or stretch it if a child needs a challenge. And then after you play, you have the option of saying whether the child liked it or not, and whether you as the parent thought it was on the right level for the child. And then you get a little congratulations. You get reminded what skill you just helped your child to develop. All of our activities help to develop early skills that are really important. We group them into 4 buckets. We call it HEART, which is social and emotional skills and children's outlook. Mind, which is focus and reasoning, math skills, creativity. Body, which is gross and fine motor and perception. And words, which is reading, talking and listening, early writing skills. And so as you're playing through these activities, you're helping your little one develop these big skills. We have a ton of content, as I said. I think it's about 2,000 activities at this point, so I couldn't possibly summarize it all on a slide, but just to give you a taste of what's in the app, in terms of parent tips, we have all sorts of content like engaging ways that you can read books aloud to your child, informative information for parents about bedtime and sleep, ideas about how you can raise a kind child, and then we have overviews of all of the different skills within Sparkler. We have 24 sub-skills within those 4 big domains, as well as summaries of the Learn the Science Act Early milestones, which are from the CDC, lists of books that can promote understanding of diversity and inclusion, and much more. Parenting and the play content, I broke it down, just some quick highlights of baby content, toddler content, and content for littles, which are 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. The baby content is all broken down into baby times. So playtime, like an activity that's called Follow That Squeak, where you follow a squeak. Outdoor time, where you can listen for the noises around you with your baby. Music time, which is called Jazzy Bubbles, which is really fun and involves bubbles, and everything involving bubbles is generally fun, especially for babies. Toddler activities, I highlighted a few. I mean, there's so many, but like this is just a taste. There's a fruit collage activity, which is creating a beautiful snack. Animal masks, which is an arts and crafts project where you create a mask and try to be an animal. Body drumming, which is turning your body into a drum and working with patterns and rhythms. And then littles, also there's a whole range of content. It's all fun, and the idea is to really spark joy, spark learning, and get parents and kids playing in ways that they might not have imagined. There are some activities where we include some arts and crafts supplies and this and that, but for the most part, activities are things you can do just with stuff you have already in your home. We want to spark play where people are without causing them a lot of stress, to help parents do fun things with their kids. as part of the play, one of the things that we're working on that's launching pretty soon is something we're calling Camp Sparkler, where we're going to have a fun lineup of summertime activities. Each week we'll have a special theme. It's all within the app. Everybody in the state who has an account will see it if they go into the app during this time period, and there'll be fun badges and prizes for people who are participating, so stay tuned. But it will start on July 4th. As parents are playing with their children, Sparkler is helping them to visualize their accomplishments. How much have they grown their child's heart, mind, body, and words? So as they do play, the bands on the rainbow grow. So if you play more heart activities, you'll grow that red bar on the rainbow and see your accomplishments. You can also look back and see what you've done over time. And you can share that with the people who are supporting you and your child to help them understand what you're doing and observe your accomplishments. This is showing you where to get the tips for adults. It's under Tips for Adults on the home screen. You can click in and find a bunch of content. This is highlighting the Learn the Signs Act Early 2-month milestones, but there's tons of activities. I think there's about 70 different units for parents in that section, and more are being added. In addition to all of the stuff I've already outlined, we send out regular messages to parents. You'll get them within the app. You'll get a push notification to your phone, and you can click in and see it there within the coaching section. And you can even send questions back if something's unclear, if you have follow-up questions. And if you want, you can connect with other caregivers for your child app to app and write messages back and forth. So there's a lot of functionality. Again, you don't have to use it all, but it gives you the ability to access content and then follow up on it and engage with the content and engage with each other in support of your child. Karina, you're up.
Okay, let's hope I can do this as well as Amanda, who usually does this part. When a family submits the ages and stages questionnaire that they've completed, the scores are immediately calculated, and it creates a family-facing report, which goes actually to our 211 ASQ data system, as well as to your program's dashboard. So in this case, if you're working with CPAC, it would be with CPAC, right? And you can see a little bit of that report there, which we'll show you more of later. We would be responsible to let you know that that the program is going to be reaching out to you to talk to you about the results of the questionnaire. So in this case, CPAC is going to be responsible to share and discuss the screening results with you. So if there's a concern identified, then they can offer some supports. If things are looking fine, then you can continue to work with the Sparkler app in terms of finding different activities. 211 Child Development is always there to provide supports if you're looking for referrals to birth to 3 or preschool special education or other home-based services, and we can work with you individually. You always have the option to give us a call, or you can work with CPAC, and we can work with CPAC if they're looking for additional resources. They certainly know many of the resources here in Connecticut and will be a fantastic way for you to access those supports. So this is just showing you a little bit more of the report. The first one, first page there of the report provides a summary by domain. And you can see that the domains are color coded again by the 4 areas that Julia had talked about before, which are words, body, mind, and heart. And also provides a brief description of the skills that each domain focuses on. And the scores are visually represented from refer on the left-hand side to on track on the right-hand side, so you can see where your child is scoring on the ASQ. The second page of the report suggests some activities that you can do with your child to really promote your child's development and to continue with that promotional of your child in terms of their activities every day with you. And these will help you to understand the skills and progress the child will be working towards building over the course of the next few months. And the rest of the report just lists out the questions for each domain with the parent response. So whatever you've responded will show in this part of the report. So it'll give you each of the answers that you responded to and if you've made any comments.
Thanks. And somebody in the chat asked a question about if there's a concern flagged on one of the ASQs, when should parents expect to hear back? And so if 211 is in the lead with the family, like if a family has signed up using the general code CT for Connecticut, they'll hear back, as Bethanne wrote in the chat, within a couple of days, which is within 2 to 3 days. And sometimes sooner. If CPAC is in the lead, I believe it will be in about the same timeline. We really want to prioritize getting this information to parents and putting it in their hands as soon as possible so that they can use it to support their children. And if you ever haven't gotten it, you should reach out because I think that everybody working on this is really prioritizing putting it in parents' hands and also giving them the context and information they need to make sure their questions are answered and they know where to go next if they do need additional support for their child.
So, and just so you know that 211 is looking at all these comments on a regular basis and will respond and will tag CPAC if there's anything that they need to follow up on. So we're really working in concert to make sure that we're addressing anybody's needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just to give a little bit more information here to you all, we have a whole, at Sparkler, a dashboard that's on the web where the providers, so CPAC, can see summaries of information and can connect with individual families who need support. And so this isn't something that's used by parents, but it's something that the people supporting you can use to see your questions that you're sending in, to access reports, to send them to you electronically, and more. And I just want to be really transparent that this is really a tool to support families. We're not giving away your information to anyone in any form. The only people seeing your information are the people who are already working to support you and who you've agreed to share the information with. So this is there, it's in the background, it's there to support you, and I wanted to make it clear that that's how folks are accessing information from families across the state. And then I have this thank you screen, and I think that that's a good moment for us to open it up to questions from any parents who are here with us, and we can go back into any of the details and talk them through. Okay.
So there's a great question from Carol Campbell. She says, I work in a community-based program through a nonprofit agency. If I use this with families, is there a way I can get the reports generated?
Yeah, so as part of this collaboration with CPAC, we created a special code for CPAC to share with families working with CPAC, which would allow CPAC to support those families. Carol, if you're part of CPAC, you could be part of that effort. If you're separate and working with families, we could certainly talk to you and create a separate code that families could use to link up with you. And just to be clear, there's parents within the app can link up with multiple providers, and the real hope is that this will help to create systems and bring people together to support families by working together on their behalf. And so I think it would be great for that to happen, for a family to say, I'm working with CPAC and I'm working with Carol Campbell, who's part of this community-based program, because by working together, we can hopefully do a better job on behalf of families. And so I'll put my information in, and Carol, if you want to reach out, please feel free. And just so it's super clear, we have when parents sign up, they type in a code in their app, and that's what's linking them to an organization. They can, down the line, they can later link up with another organization by going into settings and putting in an additional code. It's really easy to do, or by deleting a code if they move from program to program, that's fine. It's really in parents' hands who they want to be linked with, who they want to be working with, who's giving them the support that they need. And so there's a lot we're happy to create a code for you. What other questions are there?
I don't know if anyone on Facebook, Vanessa, can you please check and see if anybody?
Now, was just one question asking about the age appropriate, which I answered 0 to 5 because she explained. Yeah. And the person that asked is not there anymore, but she would like to summarize the topic if this was about the app. But she want to know more about, the age, so I answered that question.
Yeah, I think so. Just to add to that, yeah, it's really one thing that's very important for all of us who are providers to know, and parents, is that this is an app for parents. It's not an app for children. So there's a lot of activities, as I said, games. But they're all things, it's all parent directed. So the idea is you as a parent can find something that you think will be helpful to your child and then play it with the child. Or you can't, for better or worse, you cannot hand Sparkler off to your 3-year-old and expect them to get anything out of it. They definitely won't, because you have to read the activities, and so it's really it's good to emphasize to parents that this is really an app for the parents of children 0 through 5 years old. And a lot of the activities, most of the activities, you could continue playing with children as they get a little older than 5. Pretend play or creative activities are still fun well into elementary school, but where the sweet spot for Sparkler is really 0 to 5. And the ASQs go from when children are 2 months old through when children are 5.5 years old. So that's the time period we're looking at here.
We have a question on the chat. Says, is there effort to help pediatricians understand what Sparkler can offer?
Yes.
So I'll add more. So families can share reports and use as a way to discuss their child development.
That's a really good question. So first of all, a lot of pediatricians, or many pediatricians in the state, are already using the Ages and Stages questionnaire. And so parents and pediatricians who are familiar with it know that it can be a great jumping off point for conversations about child development. And so the simplest answer to Lori's question is yes. We are trying to work with the pediatricians, and any parent who is using Sparkler gets the report on their child's ASQ that they've completed, and they can share that with their pediatrician. They can print it out and bring it with them and talk it through. But we're also looking at ways to work with pediatric practices to integrate more deeply in with what they're doing, so that the pediatrician could, for example, see their patients and print out the reports on their end and put it in the patient's files and use that just more as part of their interactions with patients. And if you know a pediatrician in the state who might be interested in doing that with us, we're really happy to talk with them. We have, I can put the link in the chat, but a little web page that's with information for pediatricians to get the conversation started, and we'd be overjoyed to have that conversation, especially since 2 things. One, pediatricians work with babies from the beginning, and so before a child might be in a preschool or be connected with a program, they're going into their child visits, and it's an opportunity to support families from the very beginning. And number 2, we hear a lot about, both from pediatricians who we've talked to and from educators, about the child would be better off if the 2 parts of that equation were communicating, if the pediatrician and the teacher were talking to each other, working together to support the child's early development. And so if we can do anything to support that work, that communication between the 2 sides, we'd love to do that. So I'll put the website in we're trying. And we'd love to have more conversations with healthcare providers in the state. You're welcome. And I also see a question from Stephanie, who says she's a birth to 3 provider, and would like to potentially, I think, would like to have her own code. So Stephanie, you should reach out to us, and we'd love to work with you. We did a series of meetings with birth to 3 providers earlier this year, and we set up special codes for some of them. And I think everyone on the team, well, 1, the birth to 3 providers asked great questions, so we appreciated that. But 2, I think one of the things we heard over and over was that the activities would be really useful, so they could recommend activities targeted to individual children's specific needs. And that's something that we think is a great use case. We're really interested in working with birth to 3 providers to see how you can use activities to support the work that you're already doing with families. Using the dashboard that you would have access to if you were using this as a provider, you can search by skill and age in the library of content. And so you could say, I'm working with a child who's 2.5 years old, who's looking, the parent is looking for activities to do related to fine motor skills, and find a whole series of activities that that parent could try out. And so it would be, we'd love to hear from you and see how you want to use it and how it could support you. Yeah, especially with technology. I'm responding out loud to the chat. Stephanie said she agrees, and it would be helpful, especially with technology. Yeah, exactly. So giving people a way from their phones or their tablets to just tap into resources is really important, because people are on the go and they're used to accessing information this way. So might as well go where parents are. I'm just putting in the chat the website that's information for doctors in case there's any pediatricians on this. It's really the same information. They should reach out and talk to us, but we'd just love to have more conversations, because I think everybody agrees that this is, working with doctors is a great thing to do. And for what it's worth, we're also trying to work with others who serve families outside of the educational context. So for example, we've been doing a lot of work with the libraries in Connecticut recently, so that they can share Sparkler with families who are coming into the library but don't have their children in a traditional preschool program yet. So meeting people where they are is something that we're trying to do more and more. Does anyone have any questions for Karina, who has a wealth of knowledge about Connecticut and supporting families and all of the programs available?
And maybe, Karina, you would like to mention some of the most important programs that you...
Sure. We are the access point for birth to 3. So we do take all the referrals into the state's birth to 3 early intervention program. So if you ever made a birth to 3 referral, you've contacted us. But we can help families connect to other resources in the community through our Help Me Grow program, things like home visiting, parent-to-parent support such as CPAC or other support programs in the community. Julia mentioned the libraries. A lot of libraries have activities for families that they do, family resource centers, even behavioral health services if that's something that folks are looking for. We can also connect to our other 211 departments. So for things like basic needs, if you're losing housing or have some kind of housing needs, or electricity is going off, or those kinds of things, some of the basic needs that people do experience, or they're looking for childcare or care for kids, we can help you link to those supports and services as well. So happy to help anyone in any way through the app, or if you call us directly.
Excellent. Thank you, Karina.
Sure.
And Bethanne, would you like to add anything regarding any work you're doing? I know you're involved in so many things, and I would like to take this opportunity to ask.
Well, one, I'm so excited to join CPAC every month, and I know that I have been promoting the importance of social emotional development over the last few months. I am so excited to be working with Karina and Julia on this initiative across our state. If you know me, my dream is universal screening. I would love the opportunity for every child to get the opportunity, or every child to be developmental screened. So around the also Learn the Signs Act Early, which is a CDC initiative that is a focus on developmental monitoring. So encouraging families to understand how their child is developing and when to be concerned. So we are Learn the Signs is part of the Sparkler app. So if you go into the app and you go under the family resources, in that section is the Learn the Signs. So again, it's all of our partners across the state coming together for one mission, and that is developmental monitoring and screening, and using those amazing supports at 211. So that is my thing. But again, I thank everyone for coming, and we're in how many communities now, Julia? 80. So
More than 80. I think we keep growing, and one of the things that is interesting is some communities have really embraced this, and it's sort of like an all hands on deck, everybody in town working together to roll it out to families, and some it's an individual program. And so we're doing a lot of work to introduce this to families and get to Bethanne's dream of universal, so that really families have access to screening and also to support. It's like in their pocket, so it's much easier, hopefully, for families than making an appointment with a professional before they can even get the ball rolling.
right.
Absolutely. And at CPAC, we're extremely happy and excited to be able to provide Sparkler to our families. And we want to thank you, Karina, Julia, and Bethanne, for this amazing work that you guys are doing across the state. And we are just happy to be part of the party. So thank you so much.
Well, we're excited to party with you,
Absolutely.
etc. Thank you.
Okay, and I think that concludes our presentation for today. And again, Karina, Julia, and Bethanne, thank you very much. I also want to thank Juanita for providing interpretation services. Vanessa and Joviana from CPAC are here. So thank you, everyone. And if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. The emails are in the chat. Thanks, everyone.